No.
I would hate to be a Dandadan fan. Imagine your favorite manga gets an anime. Finally, after all the time you've been waiting, it gets an anime just for episode 1. People already calling your entire fan base gooners. The talk around this anime went from, hype about a new series to they're all freaks to racism, back to freaks, and that was a dead topic overall. I know the season ended, so it's not shocking that ain't nobody talking about it for real, but it really just hasn't been a single word since that last garbage episode came out. If you genuinely don't know why so many people dogged on this anime after being hyped for it to come out, quick and easy rundown. Dandadan already had a manga fan base. Just like Sakamoto Days, even though people may have never read it, they've heard good talks about it. Plus, seeing that nice animation and the cool story concept, it's pretty easy for people to get hyped about this without knowing what happens. And all that hype changes when episode 1 comes out and the main girl, who's a high school girl, is getting her clothes ripped off and nearly essayed in episode 1. If you've ever heard me speak about reasons I drop an anime, this is one of them. A character getting essayed in episode 1. Ultra specific, but it happens that frequently where I've dropped multiple anime for this exact reason. I just wasn't expecting it in this because it wasn't like a fantasy type like Goblin Slayer or an isekai type like every isekai. It's already weird to make a character getting essayed the big suspenseful moment in the intro to your story, but making it comedic as well it just made it 10 times worse. And this is one of the few times where I just kept pushing on through the series because so many of the viewers, even new viewers who weren't expecting that, were like, it's not that big of a deal, yada yada yada. I'm like, maybe I'm in the wrong. Maybe I'm looking too deep into it. But then within the next couple of episodes, there's another clothing scene and I'm like, alright bro, I'm not watching this junk. It's already weird in Fire Force, but it's even worse with this show because it's like the first time we saw this is her, getting assaulted. So then having her clothes again, it's already weird because, it's a high school girl, but all of that added together, it just turns into a who is writing this and why is he not locked up? What's even crazier is that a random black fan drew some fan art of a character being drawn as black and the fans went crazy. They went from defending the SA hate to just pure blown racism. It got to the point where the dub voice actor for Okarun, who is black himself, was arguing with the fans, and the fans started being racist towards him. And to top it all off, the season finale ended just like the season started, with the main girl seemingly about to get SA'd again. Like, what can members of this community even do at this point? They had to fight tooth and nail to defend the inclusion of SA in the beginning when honestly it just wasn't even necessary. They could have wrote that entire part of the story without it and it still would have made the exact same sense. Random nudity, the community being racist, and then back to more defending SA. And based on what I heard after making a ton of TikToks and joking about this topic is that she wasn't even gonna get assaulted, she was gonna get sacrificed, something like that. I take whatever they say with a grain of salt because they're a bunch of weirdos at the end of the day. But that doesn't even matter because the season finale ended off with those like naked dudes, seemingly regular looking dudes, swimming up to a teenage girl naked in a bathhouse. No matter what actually happens at the end of that, that is a weird thing to end off on, implying that this girl is about to, get assaulted. So no matter what, that is still weird. And I've never seen a fan base this delusional trying to cope this hard fighting tooth and nail jumping through every goddamn hoop to defend this junk. Let's look at some of these comments I've screenshotted off my TikToks. Like this guy right here tried to chop it up to a learning point, some character development, teaching her how not to get essayed. Yeah, there's your peak writing right there. We got stuff like this saying it's a horror anime. Of course, horrible things are gonna happen. You want to know the reason why we don't have storylines about the Joker essaying people even though he's literally done everything else? It's because nobody wants to read that. When the writing is good, it's easy to imagine where it came up in the writer room. It's easy to see where the thoughts bounced off leading to certain moments happening. Where does that come in play when it's like a little girl getting assaulted? Where does the writer's like, oh yeah, this is gonna happen here? What is that stemming from? What made them come up with that idea? I've seen people say aliens are known for probing, all this and that. They're aliens, bro. You're telling me that within the millions of ways you can write an alien, you choose they want to do stuff with children. Like, come on, bro, come on. Anyone who's writing something that's supposed to be scary knows that there's a clear line between horror and just being uncomfortable. And then there's the standard elitist loser anime fans that come with every community thinking that, oh, I don't understand the essay. It's dark themes and my simpleton mind just can't comprehend it. I've already explained it in those videos, so I'm gonna keep it simple here. A dark theme requires a purpose to exist. In Dandadan, there's no trauma associated with it. If you looked at your phone during that part and got to the next episode without seeing it, you wouldn't even know it had happened. The tone is kept pretty light because there's some comedy sprinkled in between it, and there's no deeper meaning behind it unless you agree with the guy who said it taught her not to get assaulted again, which is still kind of wicked to me. Like, this comment right here made me want to delete the internet from my phone, bro. This young said it's literally about not needing sex to have a fulfilling relationship, hence why the girl gets broken up with for not putting out. The aliens try to probe her, represents how men see relationships as a way to take advantage of women. Y'all need to think about what y'all are reading. I genuinely can't tell if this comment is satire or not. Like, what is the first part got to do with the other part? That happened in the beginning of the episode. Is he saying, like, I can't even come up with no BS because that's how much BS he just said. And then he finishes it off saying Okarun saves her while not having a PP, demonstrating how you can care for someone without wanting sex. LOL, y'all have no media literacy. Like, this has to be one of the gooner writers of this story coming to defense, because I've never heard no nonsense like this. One, it wasn't even him. He was under a curse. He wasn't even in control. Two, I'm pretty sure he didn't even know his junk was gone until many episodes later. This is a prime example of just reading too deep into something. The first boyfriend was the standard cool guy who turns out to be a jerk, and Okarun is the nerdy boy who would have been looked over who turns out to be the one for her. They do this all the time, yet y'all just see this as something unique, special, and deep. Middle school loser me could have wrote this corny jocks or jerk nonsense, bro. It's not as deep as y'all think it is. So yeah, I think that Dandadan is pretty much dead. Of course, it has this dedicated community who've been reading it forever, but it's just not gonna have that same hype that it had when season 1 first got announced. I just don't think that people can look past 2 grapey type scenes and multiple other just weird scenes involving these high school kids and their bodies. I just don't think people are gonna look past that. Especially adding how toxic and weird the fan base as a whole is. It's just not. I just don't see it happening. But that's all I got to say. Yeah, follow the TikTok, join the Discord. 6 a.m., bro. I'm gonna play some more Rivals.